Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 520. Meeple Nation March 2024 news.
And SaltCon.
And SaltCon, yes.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
The Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers, LLC. They offer a variety of amazing products to enhance your game night, modular tables that you can throw out on any surface, or full table solutions with all the mats and accessories to go with it. If you need to upgrade your game night, head on over to GameToppersLLC.com and check out what they have to offer. You will not be disappointed.
Welcome to Meeple Nation. We are your hosts. I am Andy Holliday.
I am Douglas Stewart.
And I'm Nathan Howard.
We would love for you to check out our website. We have a plethora of content for you to look at and to read and to listen to. We have links to all of our previous episodes. We have photos, bios of each of us, and we have blogs. We also have a link to our Patreon. We love our patrons. We appreciate the support they've given us and for the ability to improve the podcast for each of our listeners. If you too would like to be a patron, please click the link on our website. Join the Meeple Nation officially. Also, if you have any questions or comments or just want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you at meeplenation@gmail.com.
We had SaltCon earlier this month, which was awesome. The first weekend in March, which is also the last week in February, which doesn't happen all the time. We had some snow, we had some good times, and we had a lot of people at our tables.
It was awesome.
We ran 27 events. 3 of those events were 40 plus people. Variety in games. We had some big beefy games like Scholars of the South Tigris. We had games from Apiary to Heat and a wide scope in between. So let's not let me talk about all those games. Let's kind of talk about the games that we hosted, some of the games that we played, and why SaltCon is awesome.
SaltCon really is fantastic, and I think we have a tendency to spend a lot of time talking about SaltCon when we do the news episode right after. Yeah. Which is awesome because we have a lot to talk about, and a lot of it is news, at least news for us, and it's exciting. But we'll try to save a little bit of time for news at the end, some new releases and crowdfunding and stuff. But
yeah, especially because there's a lot.
Yes.
To talk about besides SaltCon.
And there's one game I'm super excited.
Oh, for sure.
I got you both excited for it too. So
we'll get there when we get there. But right now I'm excited to talk about SaltCon because it really was an amazing event. This is the spring SaltCon, so this is the big SaltCon. This is the 4-day full convention, individual day, all the events, everything was totally sold out. You already mentioned we did like 27 events. All of those, with the exception of the big group ones, were sold out within like 3 hours.
Which is amazing.
I mean, it was crazy. I think people are chomping at the bit. I'm wondering when this is going to have to move to a bigger venue because I don't know if that convention center is going to contain us for much longer.
No, I think that's something that's in the future. I think Dale is going to plan to keep it there for as long as he can because they've even announced that for summer, they've expanded that size a little bit for summer. Because summer, they don't take out the whole convention center. I'm thinking that it's going to be in the near future that they're probably doing 3 of these 4-day events. If they can get the people to commit to it and show up to it, they're going to totally do it, which I think is great.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's great for us, right? We will never, ever stick our nose up at an opportunity to go and play games for an extra day.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. You were talking about some of the games that we hosted. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start there. I hosted a game called Namiji, kind of the spiritual successor to Tokaido. If you know Tokaido, you will absolutely love Namiji. I think it's a better game than Tokaido. I would prefer to play it over Tokaido. It is on the lighter side, but we had a ton of fun playing that game. We had a combination of adults and kids at the table, and they loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think adults and kids alike. It plays fast, it has a big table presence, but it's fun. It's a very zen game. Move your boat around the islands and take your actions and push your luck. It does some things that I think are really fun over Tokaido. There's kind of some tableau building and some push your luck and some other things that it introduced. So
I really like Tokaido, so I was hoping to get a chance to play this. Like you mentioned, those tickets were sold out way quick. In fact, I don't think any of us really got to play any of our games.
No, and actually,
But I really want to play this one.
Yeah, well, and I'm glad you brought that up because, in years past, we will open up all the seats for the events that we run, and then oftentimes we get to play the games because someone doesn't show up. We didn't have any games where people didn't show up.
Yeah,
they were
every
all
game
full.
was every
Minus one.
Oh, was there one?
Yeah. We had one person that was double booked for Acropolis.
Oh,
So I actually got to sit down and play one of the games that I
that's good. I did not know that, so that's good.
Even my game of That's Not a Hat, where it's easy to put somebody else in, the table was just too full.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also hosted Expeditions, Apiary, and World Wonders. All of those went really well. I'm loving Expeditions more and more every time I play it. It was like an uncle and his nephews that played Apiary. Like the shenanigans and back and forth, the banter at the table and stuff was just so fun. That was an awesome experience. And then World Wonders is just so solid. I love that game too. Putting those big chunky wooden pieces out on the board is fantastic. So
Yeah, that's nice.
I was really happy with the games I got to host this year. Really fun, full tables, lots of really cool people to get to know and play with. I really appreciated the experience I was able to have hosting games this year. It was awesome.
The first night I got the chance to run Werewolf, which we had booked out at 40 people. We ended up having 46 people. First time I ran Werewolf for several years now. That's been something that Logan has done. And so I was a little rusty. I made this nice spreadsheet that I could interact with. It worked for the most part, except for there was a long process of getting everybody in there. I thought I had it nipped in the bud. I was telling people to come up, put their name there. And then while people were putting their name, I was going the opposite direction. And it took like 10 people. And then they're like, oh, I'm just going to wait for him to come around. I still ended up going around putting everybody's name in because I was oblivious to the fact that no one was doing it behind me. So
You needed a helper in there.
I did, yeah. Still went really well. Got to have an opportunity to witness Dave and his great rebuttal and interaction with the.
Did Dave come prepared this year?
He did come
with some
prepared.
Good stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was
I
very
love
nice. He had a lot of presidential quotes that he was using from years past. Of if you were listening closely, you could great to witness that and be part of that. I always enjoy Werewolf. I enjoy the social interaction of it. But it is 46 people is a lot to run by yourself. And,
That is, yeah.
That's
but it was
huge.
good times. On the next day, I got some lighter stuff. I got to do deep dive. Always fun. I love the pressure luck games because people like to press their luck and they always, not always fail, but it's always fun to watch that bubble burst when they've gone too far. And then the next one that is one that I think I'm going to just keep doing every year because it is a great success is Ready, Set, Bet. Everybody gets into this game and becomes an anxious and exciting game. We were quite rambunctious and quite loud as we were cheering and yelling and participating in this Ready, Set, Bet game. And on that, the Kickstarter is, actually I think the Kickstarter's closed, so you could probably try to find the late pledge of the Deluxeified edition, which has some upgraded chips. It has the nice heavy poker chips. Doug, you talked about this last news episode.
Yep.
And it is one of the Kickstarters that I did back this year.
What? You backed something?
Did
Nathan?
back
The
something.
Vegas edition, right?
Yeah,
Is that
the
what they're
Vegas
calling
edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks really nice.
Is that the first time Nathan's admitted to backing something
In at least a year, yeah.
2024?
Yeah.
I think
Because
in...
this is the first time I've backed something in a year now.
Right. Wink, wink. Right.
Got it.
Like I mentioned, I did That's Not a Hat, and that was always fun. I love just watching this game. It is so, I mean, I enjoy playing it as well, but it's just the looks on people's face when they had a card just in front of them, face up, 3 seconds ago, and now that is completely forgotten.
If you enjoy watching people as they react to uncovering the knowledge that they're dumb,
Yeah.
right?
It's exactly right.
Like that moment when you're watching somebody and you realize that they did something stupid or that they're not as smart as they think.
Yep.
If you like watching that, just throw this game in front of a group of people because that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, it was so good. Then later that night, I did get to run the game show. Ran that twice, and we ended up with close to 50, 55 people in each group. That was a big success. I do need to maybe spread out my wheelhouse of the questions I ask, because everybody gets a little tired of my superhero questions. But everybody still had a ton of fun, and the winners had even more fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was excellent. I thought it was very well run. Now, the group I was in, Dan was in there helping. Did he help with both of them?
No. The first one, my wife helped.
Okay.
She was going to participate, but our friend Jim, who always helps me with the game show, his wife was in a car wreck.
Oh, that's right.
Seconds before we began.
He had to bolt.
So I was already stressing out because the room wasn't cleared as it was supposed to be, and I'm in there trying to prepare. The other people won't leave, and then this happens, and everything was in a panic. But all in all, it went really smooth. My presentation was pretty spot on. I only found one error. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves, so I thought I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, it worked out really good. So huge thanks to Cheryl and Dan for helping, for stepping up and helping with that.
Yeah. The second one began about Cheryl's bedtime, so she's like, I'm not staying for another one. Unless you need me to. Dan was leaving, and I was like, hey, Dan, guess what? You're staying to help. And he was a big help. He was a hoot. Dan's always full of energy. And
yeah, we love Dan. He's awesome.
Finally, the last game I ran was a game called Heat, which everybody's probably well aware of at this time. Heat, Pedal to the Metal. And this was an interesting game because I played with a family of lawyers.
Oh, no.
I'd never been so nervous about a teach because every question I was asking or every rule I was explaining was answered with a question, which was then argued by the other person and then re-argued back and forth. And I'm sitting there going, no, this is how you do it. But this, and
should have said overruled.
I should have said.
You needed a gavel.
Yeah, I did. I should have had my werewolf gavel there. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. They still had a lot of fun. I had a bounce out early because I was on a panel talking about the best games you've never heard of. I was on that panel with Ryan Lockett, Dan Naylor, and Alex Davis. 4 of us were there talking about games that we thought were hidden gems. It was a sparsely attended event, but it was still very fun to talk about. And several of the people that were there were very excited about the games that we brought up. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I could have made it to that. I was hosting a game at that time, but.
Well, I got to host Planet Unknown. Actually, you know what? We had 2 because I actually got to sit at the table for this one.
Did you play that one too?
I did. A lady that came up to me that had played the previous game, the bicycle racing game of Flamme Rouge with James, and she's like, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm like, okay, sweet. So I sat down, and I was initially going to teach the asymmetrical part of it, but my voice was done.
It seems like you kind of brought the con crud with you.
It was actually a sinus infection that I had, so I wasn't contagious, but my voice was terrible. And
it sounded like you were contagious.
I had no voice. I'm like, I'm not going to teach the asymmetrical part of this. I'm just going to teach the base game. I think there had only been one person that had played it at the table, so it probably worked out for the best anyway. It went really well. It's always good when you teach new people and there are people that have played it before and one of the new people win, which is exactly what happened.
Nice.
So it went really well. People were really excited about it. And of course, the gal that won was super excited and they're like, yeah, we've been looking at this game. And as soon as it was a couple, a husband and wife, and as soon as the game in addition, she had won, she's like, yeah, we are getting this game.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to where that Kickstarter should be fulfilled. So hopefully it'll be in the wild again.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that. You mentioned Scholars of the South Tigris. The last thing I taught, my voice was really done by this time. My voice is usually gone by that time anyway. So having a gunky head from a sinus infection did not help, but it went really well. I think it was a little heavier for some of the people at the table than they were anticipating. Dan had signed up to play it, and then Greg's daughter, Stacia, and they both probably did better than the other 2 gentlemen that were at the table. They kind of grasped it. The other 2 guys had to ask a lot of questions, which is fine because it's a
busy game.
It really is. There's a lot going on. And if you want to do something specific, you usually have to do 2 or 3 things first before you do what you want to do.
Yeah, you have to set yourself up.
A lot of ongoing teaching during that game. That was probably the heaviest one I taught. Maracaibo is actually where my voice completely went. That was on day 2.
That was on day 1, wasn't it?
Maybe that one. No, that might have been day 1. I was doing great until Maracaibo because that's a big teach also. I love that game.
I do too. We got a chance to play it on Thursday too, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, that's one of my SaltCon highlights. Woo! Maracaibo got us to the table again.
Such a good game. Everybody loved it. Honestly, with the exception of my wife, Sabrina, everyone who's played it has really liked that game.
I love that game so much. And I just beat Doug the other day online.
Yay!
For the first time.
For the first time.
Just throw that in there. That was a good game too.
Yeah.
It was back and forth, and you could tell you were doing very well. I was like, oh, I think Nathan's got this one.
Plus, we got the expansion for it now, and I'm really excited to try this out with the expansion. And I really want to try the campaign mode.
I do too.
So there's lots of different ways to play Maracaibo, and we've just touched the surf. Get to the table a little more often, which will not make any of us sad, I don't think.
No, not at all.
I taught Acropolis. I love this game because it plays so quickly. The teach is so smooth and easy. Everybody picked it up super quickly, and we got to play it twice. That first game was definitely a teaching game. I'm glad we got to play it twice. After about 4 rounds into it, they're like, oh, okay. And then the scoring, they're like, oh, I thought this counted. It's like, no, that doesn't count. So maybe the teach didn't go quite as smoothly as I thought, but it felt like it did. Once we did the final scoring, they kind of understood how the scoring went. And I'm like, all right, practice game. We have time. Let's do another one.
Oh, nice.
Everybody did a lot better that second time.
This is a game also that's on BGA that I've been playing with Jody. Also been playing with my wife. I was telling my wife that Jody just runs right over me. It's like 100 points in difference. And I'm
Wow.
I don't know what Jody's doing, but I'm just playing a different game. And so
your humans are getting eaten up by dinosaurs, huh?
Yeah. You're able to review how they played their game. I was showing my wife what Jody was doing. Apparently, Cheryl picked up what Jody was putting down.
Oh, no.
It wasn't quite by 100 points, but the very next game, I lost of Acropolis with my wife.
Look what you did.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
Way to go, Jody. Didn't know you were teaching. Cheryl is now besting me all the time.
Cheryl took Jody's master class.
Indeed.
And now she is a master. That's awesome.
That is awesome. The last game I taught, Imperial Miners. This is one that I played for the first time with my daughters at BGG Con. And as soon as we got back, we picked it up really quick. Once again, pretty simple, but there's a fair bit of strategy involved.
Yeah.
A little bit of a crunch to it for being such a simple, straightforward game. Overall, our teaches and the games we hosted went super well. Kind of exciting when all the tickets sold out as quickly as they did. My daughters weren't super happy about it because they didn't get signed up for
Most
anything.
of our regulars weren't very happy about it either. In fact, most of our regulars didn't get into any of our game.
Everything sold out so fast. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for summer if people jump on it a little more quickly and whose names we see on the list.
Yep. Also, Nathan Tenney was teaching for us. James Clark was teaching for us. Greg Sinkel was teaching for us as well. After Us, Project L, Kingdom Builder, Flamme Rouge, Tiger and Dragon, Last Light, which was one I was really hoping to get into, but we didn't get that. Lupin Louis, which is always a huge hit. 8-player Lupin Louis, which James just discovered there is setup that you can add to what we've already printed to make it an 8-player Lupin Louis, but you can have it so that there are 2 barons going at the same time. So you have 8 players, 2 barons that are hitting chickens. I'm super excited to give this a try. I think that's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of fun at that.
For sure.
We also got Raising Robots, Feed the Kraken, Wandering Towers, Return to Dark Tower. That's all 27 scheduled games that were sold out. Everything was sold out. Like you said, Andy, we had a couple that had to skip out. But for the most part, everybody showed, and it was a huge success.
Yeah, it was awesome. One of the other big highlights of the convention for me was that my daughter, Amberly, came to the convention. It was cool because kind of like BGG Con was for you last year, Andy, Amberly came prepared to teach games. She taught us how to play Azul Queen's Garden, Trekking Through History, and she taught us how to play Nar. I enjoyed all 3 of those games. Trekking Through History, not really my thing. It may go on the coal pile. Fun, but wasn't really for me. Although I will say excellent components.
Cheryl wasn't really taken by it either.
It has really, really excellent components. I think the play just doesn't offer enough by way of strategy. It's just a little bit lacking there. I was shocked at how much I loved Azul Queen's Garden.
Me too.
And it kind of made me wish that I had learned how to play it way sooner. All of the Azul games have a really interesting puzzle to solve when it comes to placing your tiles out on the board. And there's some strategy you have to deploy for drafting. This really took, I think, both of those a huge notch. Like the drafting was really unique. And then how you have to place everything out on your board, I thought was really unique. Storage area where you have to stage things first before you can get them out. Yeah. But if you're out of that space and something that you really need comes up, then you're in trouble. And so you don't want to fill your storage up too much. And so there's kind of this push and pull there. And also new information comes out with every single draft, right? So once somebody takes something, you kind of flip some new stuff out. Unlike the other Azules, where you kind of can see everything that's available from the very get-go, this has new information that's introduced after every person's turn. Can lead itself maybe just a little bit to that, like, okay, hold on, I got to analyze this a little bit on my turn, which I think makes it a little bit of a longer Azul game, but it is still just incredibly fun. I think probably way better at 2 or 3 players. I don't know if I'd play it at 4 because of that, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, we compared this, like the comparison of Silver and Gold Pyramid. Azul is a great gateway game. You take Azul Queen's Garden, very much takes that Azul game, and it is very much a gamer's game. There is a lot, and it has a much higher difficulty level when comparing it to Azul. But I liked it a lot, and I'm very much looking forward to having Amberly teach Cheryl. This is one that's been sitting downstairs and my wife even said that she was going to attempt to read the rules. For that to even come out of her mouth was... that was like, wow,
what?
Really? Probably my biggest highlight of SaltCon was the fact that Cheryl was there every day.
Yeah.
And she played games. She wasn't there all day. She still had to work Thursday and Friday. And she wasn't there all day Saturday. But she was there. She participated. She played some games. Not every game she played with me. She was able to play some games with other people while I was teaching. For me, that was a huge highlight to have her there.
What did she think of NAR? What did you think of NAR?
I ordered it.
Okay, so you liked it okay at least.
Yeah.
So I actually really like NAR. I think that it is way better as a 2-player game. It's this really fun, tight race where you're just playing your Vikings into a tableau. You execute all of the stuff in that color. You can create some fun combos as you play them. It's a really simple mechanic. Then you can go on those expeditions where you take all those cards at the top. You got to pay some resources and stuff. They get added to your board. You can spend your bracelets to go on those trek. As you add those cards to your board and gain a whole bunch of resources. And so that combo building I think is really fun. That said, I don't know that the game is deep enough that it should last more than 30 minutes. And that's kind of where
you say 2 players.
Yeah, and that's why I say 2 players. So that's, I think, where I kind of landed on it. Love it, but 2, maybe 3 players.
I agree. It was still very enjoyable, and I think Cheryl enjoyed it. Speaking of Amberly teaching games, though, she also did teach Cheryl and I how to play Sea Salt and Paper. She did a great job teaching that. I owned the game, and so I had actually brought the game to learn myself, but she had learned it from you. You guys had played it together. Since picked up the Extra Salt expansion, which adds some pretty cool cards in there.
Yeah, I was impressed with that, actually.
Yeah. Doug, both you and I own the game, and Andy's the only one that's actually played with the expansion so far.
It was great, guys.
Excellent.
But yeah, that was another game that I was excited to get to the table. An older game, which actually is on BGA with a very good implementation there.
The favorite game I played at the con was probably Wormspan.
Oh, really?
It was really good. Now, Nathan, I'm curious. I know you aren't the biggest fan of Wingspan. What exactly is it that you don't like about Wingspan?
I think mostly is that the expansions kind of muddied the waters of Wingspan.
As far as the end of round cards, end of game cards?
I think for me, it got to the point where the deck just became too big, that I felt like too much variety in there, that if you're trying to come up with combinations that are this, that, I don't know, just kind of overwhelms me. It dulled my interest in it.
Interesting. Well, I don't think that you would have a dulled interest in Wormspan. It's a completely different game. I mean, it's similar, right? You explore caves, and as you explore the caves, then you can put dragons in those caves and move it along the board in a similar way. However, as an action, you can choose to activate, basically gain the resources and everything from a row instead of having to play a card there. I mean, like in Wingspan, where I'm going to get eggs and then I'm going to go from the back and move forward. In this case, you move from the forward and go back. And you're going to gain everything that is either have a dragon in or up to your first excavated or explored cave that does not have a dragon. And you're going to gain all those resources and any benefits or bonuses. It's free to do the first time, and then every subsequent time that you do that in the same row gets progressively more expensive. I really like how they did it. It's a very well done game. Totally got destroyed. But we had a good time. I played with Dennis, Ritchie, and our friend Will. It wasn't even close. I had my people being fed to the dragons instead of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, you were playing a James game.
It was a very, very pathetic game on my part, but I thoroughly enjoyed getting my butt kicked because it was fun.
You bring up Wingspan at this convention. I called my big tuck box of Wingspan. All the expansions, got rid of it. Just the other day, I was with Andy, and I was like, I think I need to buy Wingspan again.
Are you kidding me?
No,
But just the base game.
Kidding me?
Just the base game, though.
Like, why?
I mean, I probably won't, but the base game I think would be okay.
Well, I think everybody who you game with has a copy of it, so
Yeah. True.
you're probably okay.
but then
they
everybody's going to want to play with all the expansions, so
They
give
own
me
a
the
copy of it
base.
because it's a good game.
It's
Nathan.
okay. But anyways, that's I don't think I'm going to buy it, but
I just think you're hilarious.
I might have some issues. That's true.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, so as good as SaltCon was, I have a couple of maybe non-highlights.
Okay.
I totally understand, and I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. And if you like these kind of games, I get it. But let's talk about Fang for a minute. Fangs? Okay.
So I have Fangs right over there.
Okay.
After that first play, Fangs is not going to be over there anymore.
Fangs is a game that is very much akin to something like Coup or The Resistance. It's one of those social deduction, player elimination style
Don't
games.
say that with such disdain in your voice.
He said it right. He said it right.
I think it was accurate, actually. I got the tone right. We sat down to play it, and I know Brian was excited about it, and I don't want to take away anybody's excitement if you like this kind of
Well,
game.
Brian was excited because I asked him to teach it to me.
Oh, okay. The two of you were excited about
Yes.
it. You started explaining the game, and I realized, oh, this is just like one of those other games. And in the back of my head, I was like, this game is going to go exactly like these games go for me. To the point where I almost, like, if I'd had a pencil and paper, I would have taken it out and written down, I will be the first eliminated within the first 3 minutes, and everyone else will play for another 30 to 45. It's like a little prophecy and folded up. I thought about that. I mean, not even kidding. I was like, that's how this is going to go. You watch.
Well, you
And-
nailed it.
And I nailed it. I was 100% right. I was the first one eliminated. Don't even know really why or how or what I could have done differently. And then I just walked away from the table while the rest of you played that for another 30 or 40 minutes.
The good thing is, though, you still won.
Oh, because of like some weird team
'Cause you
thing
were
that I
on my
didn't really
team, yeah.
understand? Okay.
Yep, you were on my
Yay!
team, so you still won. Way
Good
to
job,
go.
Doug.
Sweet. I just don't understand what the appeal of these games is. English is fun. I don't get the appeal of these games. I don't get it. And I don't think I ever will. And every time I try a new one, that is exactly what happens for me. First one out, 3 minutes in.
Well, if you weren't so grumpy when they found out what kind of game it was, everybody wouldn't be like, let's get Doug out of here.
Well, here's the thing. It was Tenny though. Tenny was the one that took me out. Honestly, I don't even think he really was meaning to. I think
I
he
don't
was just
think he was either.
he was just doing something,
Yeah.
right? Because you roll a die and you go to a random location. It just happened to put him in a place where he could attack me, and he did like a ton of damage because, of
Yeah.
course, I can't roll D6s. I think there was some defense or something like that. I don't even
D6
remember,
hate me.
but like, yeah, exactly. D6 do hate me. And so it put me over the threshold. And of course, I got given the weakest character. So once it put me over that threshold, and it was funny because Brian was like, okay, now if you're this guy, you're dead. And I was like, yep, I'm dead. And he was like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you're dead.
Oh, yeah, you're dead.
You're out. I was like, okay, fun game, guys. Cool.
Yeah, it didn't turn out to be that bad, but it wasn't nearly as fun as your game of Robo Rally.
Ooh, Robo Rally Robo Rally did what Robo Rally does.
Have excitement, fun, and good times.
Have a bunch of people sitting around the table going, I don't get how the rule, like, wait, how does that work? That we spent more time talking about how the mechanics worked than actually being able to play the game. And that has been my understanding of Robo Rally. I mean, that's what I've always heard people say. Well, you spend more time arguing about the rules of Robo Rally than actually playing Robo Rally. And that's what happened.
Played a ton of Robo Rally, the original Robo Rally, and so it wasn't as of a stick as me, but it was definitely a stick to most of the people at the table. And
Yeah.
we would come to a census, and exactly like you're saying, then when it affected them, they thought it was something completely different.
Yeah. Everyone thinks they understand the rules until they get caught by them. And then they're like, wait a minute, that's not how that is supposed to play.
Yeah. I lost terribly at that game, and we just did the very basic setup, but I very much still love Robo Rally, and I have a lot of stuff for Robo Rally.
Cool. Well, I won that game, so I have a
You did.
100% record with Robo Rally. Probably quit while I'm ahead.
Drop the mic and leave. Yeah, don't drop that mic. It's expensive.
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah.
Another one. A proverbial mic.
Also introduced to a game that right along your same level, Doug, that you would really like. And this game was very enjoyable at first, and then we played it a second time, and it very quickly lost its luster, and that was Pacifist.
When I first read that title, I thought that maybe you were punking us and you had collaborated with the Hug Ladies again to make up some sort of rock, paper, scissors expansion.
Yeah, no, so it's Pacifist, but it's spelled out pass hyphen a hyphen fist. It is a street fighting game. And you are playing an attack, and then you may be having offense or defense, and you may be able to block that damage, cower and defeat. Very much enjoyed our first play. Got to play this with Brent and Jenna and one of the family members who produced the game. The first time reading through the cards, very hilarious. To play it right again afterwards, that humor kind of wore out, but I highly recommend it playing it once in a while because you start to laugh at all the flavor text that's in there, and that is very humorous. Wears out its welcome. So it's one that I would recommend playing for sure. Play it once, put it away for a while, get it out, and it's by far going to be more enjoyable later in the evening or maybe after a drink or two.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're really selling me on it.
I know it's already a theme that neither of you guys are excited about at all. But I mean, I think our friend Will, he would have loved this game the first time. There's a whole scene or not a whole scene. It was a movie set. There's a whole section where Brent and I had an attack in a battle, and the floor was lava. So for the rest of the game, we had to not let our feet touch. And if our feet touched the floor, then we had to take an injury card. And if you have 4 injury cards, you lose. But that happened pretty early in the game. And you would think, you could wrap your feet around the legs of your chair. But after about 15 minutes, your legs start to hurt. And that's probably my highlight of the game, was being able to put my feet down.
Yeah. Nice. Wow.
I'm not trying to put down the game. It has its spot, right? It does have
absolutely.
Its group. Like I said, I found it very enjoyable the first time, very humorous, laughing at all the cards. But yeah, play it once, put it away for a while, get it back out late at night.
We'll not belabor our SaltCon conversation too much longer, but I'll just rapid fire go through a few others that I played that I was excited about. Veil of Eternity, got to play that a couple of times. Really, really like Veil of Eternity.
This is one I still want to play.
Yeah, it's a slick little card game. Very cool mechanisms. And you are playing out your kind of tableau of these little creature cards and stuff, but the drafting is super unique, and you can either sell them or you can take them in your hand or you summon them. It's kind of a race for points, but each one of the cards does a different thing. And so you're kind of engine building and combo building, which I think is just great. There's just a tiny bit of just a little bit. It affects the race for points just enough that you kind of have to strategically work around it. I really like this game. Richie taught us how to play Fleet the dice game. I immediately had to order a copy. I loved this. This is a truly outstanding roll and write game. Loved Fleet the dice game. Super excited about that one. We got to play Aqua, Biodiversity in the Oceans, a few times.
That was really good. I ordered that game right after too.
And I know Cheryl really liked that. Yeah. And she's absolutely schooled us at it. She won that game handily.
She does that from time to time.
She does. She seems to be really good at that, at those tile laying games. Yeah. Maybe it was because she watched, gave her some tips. Yeah. So that was a really good experience. Got to play Ark Nova with the Marine Worlds expansion. That game just gets better and better and better for me. And then we also got to play Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition with Discovery and Foundations. I think that game has just gotten a whole lot better. I mean, I already liked the base game, but those expansions make it incredible. And then the last one I'll mention is Rolling Realms. I was excited Richie finally taught that one. He taught that one to me and Amberly. I was excited to finally get to play it. I don't have the same enthusiasm for it that you guys do. I thought it was a middle of the line roll and write for me, but I was still excited to get it to the table. I know it's one you guys like. I know it's one Richie really likes. I would definitely play it again just to see if my opinion of it changes. It was middle of the line. It wasn't bad, but it didn't blow me away.
So you mentioned Fleet the dice game. The same designers, Riddle and Pitchback, designed another one that I have, Three Sisters. And the Three Sisters are garden sisters, squash, beans, and corn that plant them together. They flourish together. very similar mechanics, Richie was saying, as to Fleet the Dice game, but I very much enjoyed Three Sisters.
Can't wait to try it.
Is that enough coverage of SaltCon? Do we want to move on to some news real quick?
I think so.
Yeah, I could keep talking, but I think the time is marching us on.
All right, well, let's get to it. So let's talk about some new game releases.
New stuff that can be found out in the wild. What do you got for us, Andy?
Well, I've got a game that I am tempted to pick up. A game called Forsaken, published by Game Trace. Kind of cool, which means you would hope that the insert is going to be amazing for this game.
Better have an amazing insert.
Right?
They can't mess that part up.
They can't mess that part up. But it is an immersive sandbox adventure game. So right up my alley, you take on the role of a character and you're looking to leave your mark in the harshest of environments. And it has a narrative, story-driven aspect. You have action points, your hand management, variable player powers. You get to upgrade weapons and gear, your skills along the way. You get to go around doing odd jobs, hunting down bounties, fulfilling prophecies, even gambling at the cantina. There's a lot to do, and I would really like to get it. I like these sandbox-style games. Some of them, I think, are stronger than others when they give you an actual direction on what you're supposed to do. And as long as there are goals that you're supposed to do in order to win, then I think it's going to be great. Now, you're trying to gain... So you're gaining legend points, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most legend points wins. I do like the fact that at the end of your turn, you can trigger an event or an encounter or some different opportunities to permanently change the game. So it has a little bit of a legacy aspect to it. Anyway, it looks and sounds like it's going to be kind of fun. It's more of a sci-fi post-apocalyptic theme to it rather than a fantasy theme. That being said, I still like that theme, even though it's not fantasy, and it looks really cool.
They're looking at some of these pictures. I don't know about the inserts, but table accessories.
Yeah, that little dice tower thing.
And the arena holders, the tableau holders. Yeah, all of those do look very cool.
It looks like a really cool game.
So this was actually one that caught my eye when it was running on crowdfunding.
Did you get it?
I did. Yeah.
This is you're
one
the
I
man.
backed. It is on its way. I was super intrigued by this. This has a lot of ties to Western Legends. Travis Chance, who's involved in this, he has some ties with Colossal Games, who did Western Legends. I don't think he was one of the designers on it, but he has some ties there. Anyway, I am super, super excited about this and super excited about those inserts because I think they're going to be really good. The game genuinely looks really fantastic. Now, I will make just a really quick note that this is kind of in that awkward stage. It's not really, we're talking about new releases, and then we usually go on to talk about announcements, and this is in that in-between.
It's in that pre-order stage right now.
Yeah, it's in the pre-order. So this should be fulfilling in fall, is my understanding, but all the pre-orders are up for it. So if it catches your eye, definitely go check it out.
I'm excited about it. It looks pretty cool.
One that you can find out in the wild is actually one that I just talked about a minute ago, and that is the Veil of Eternity. Go check that one out. It's actually in kind of a small box. It's easy to learn, quick to play, and I think offers a lot of punch, but that one is just hitting shelves. I think some people have been able to get an early copy of that. It's hitting mass distribution just recently. That's one you can go out and find in the wild. So I'd recommend people checking that out if that is interesting to them.
So one that has my attention is a game called Exo World Survival. This is a midweight game, 1 to 5 players, 60 to 90 minutes, which is, I think, one of my ideal game time. It's a cooperative colony building game. Everybody putting their work together to build out the colony and the alien landscape. I kind of like this idea. I haven't seen something quite like this yet to compare it to, so I'm interested to give this a try. Got that nice midweight to it, and it's a sci-fi theme, so yeah, why not?
We know you love the sci-fi.
Yes.
Another game that's coming out is called Aqua Biodiversity in the Oceans. And this is kind of a cool little tile placement. It just really looks like, I know you've already talked about this, Doug, but it looks like a really cool tile placement game. I really like the playtime on this as well. Nathan, you mentioned that 60, 90 minutes.
Seems to be a winner.
This is a little bit shorter, but it's the 30 to 45 minute range. Kind of a beautiful game.
It really is.
And shock of all shocks, they actually have that time about spot on. You can definitely play this in that 30 to 45. In fact, both of the games I played with my wife were probably closer to the maybe 25 to 30 range.
That's awesome. I haven't played this, but is player count going to add time to that?
Yeah, because you add tiles and you're going to go 17 rounds, whether you're playing it at 2 players or 4 players. Right. So it will add some time, but turns are fast. This is not one of those games that's going to itself to analysis paralysis. It's not going to create that in people. There's a little bit of like tinkering with the tiles or, let me see if that works or that kind of thing. But turns are quick enough that it won't add a lot of time.
That's great.
And it does look pretty.
Yeah, especially after you've kind of built that reef out on the table. You kind of get to the end of the game and it's one of those where you're like, ooh, I need to take a picture of that. Like, it looks pretty good.
That's awesome.
Another little bit of news that I was excited about, Unmatched Sun's Origin is finally hitting shelves. This is one that they announced like forever ago. Don't think they usually do that. They usually have a little bit of an announcement before these Unmatched packages come out, and then you can kind of pre-order them, and they're out really quick. I feel like I pre-ordered this almost a year ago.
Oh, really?
I've been waiting for it. Hitting distribution, you can finally get your hands on a copy of that. It kind of spotlights 2 heroes from feudal Japan, Oda Nobunaga and Tomoe Gozen. They are prominent figures from Japanese history. So I'm really excited to get that one played soon. Maybe we'll mix it with the Tales to Amaze and see how feudal Japan fares against the Martian invasion. And I love that sentence just came out of my mouth.
So another one that I am very interested in trying is this Look at the Stars. This is a constellation building game. You have some dot grids that you're laying out your constellations to try to fill up your skyscape. A very interesting game. Doesn't look to be a very challenging game, but it is 2 to 8 players, plays in about 20 to 30 minutes, very much on the lighter side. I have this coming. I'm very interested to give this a try. I'm hoping that it'll be good. But like I said, not getting a ton of reviews highly, but I think it's worth trying. Probably should just cut that out.
Why?
I don't know.
Your voice sounds beautiful, Nathan.
Thank you.
Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is now available.
Do tell.
My Kickstarter is supposed to arrive today.
Did it?
Not yet.
Oh.
I just barely checked. It's not here yet.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, the day's not over yet.
The day's not over, but it was supposed to be here Thursday. So if it's the fact that it's a couple days early is just a bonus. It's available online or in stores right now, so you can order that. I'm really excited for this. A fan of the video game, so I'm excited to see how well it's implemented into a board game. I'm really hoping that I didn't pay a nerd tax on this because it would be a very expensive nerd tax since I did an all-in pledge.
That's why I don't back stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it looks really cool. I'm excited. Those of you who are fans of Heroes of Might and Magic, they now have a board game implementation that is available to pick up, and I'm super excited to try it.
Speaking of things that I didn't back, my copy of the 10th anniversary of Firefly showed up, and I just got the upgrade stuff, the stuff that was missing, the box that stores it in, and I was really hesitant about getting this box because I have the Broken Token Big Damn Crate. And I really like the crate. It has a nice finish on it, has the 3 suns burned on the top of the wood, and very nice looking. Everything fits in there. So I still did end up backing the big box to put it in. And I was kind of reluctant on that. But when it showed up...
You didn't back?
Yeah, I didn't back. Yes. Sorry.
It just randomly showed up.
Randomly showed up. I don't know what it is.
How long are we going to keep up this charade?
What charade? It's not a charade. But what I really like about this is that it has individual setup containers per player. So that when you're sorting out like your fuel, you're sorting out parts, you're sorting out disgruntled tokens, all those are, everybody has a section that you say, here, you're player number 1, you're player number 2, all your stuff's in there. You pick out your ship, you pick out your captain, and then go from there. And for some reason, I bought the mat too, and I didn't think I needed the mat.
How big is that mat, Nathan?
This mat is huge. It doesn't fit on my table. It overlays on the sides and the length. It is a big mat.
So what you're saying is we're going to have to go to Andy's house to play it on a Mycroft.
Yeah. Or if I put the dining leaves on, it might fit okay on that. But it does look really nice. It has spots for everything to lay and set out, your discard piles, your draw piles, and also the box has a section for that if you don't want to use the mat, you pull out the tray, has a section for the discard and the draw piles, all there. Gale Force 9 did a really good job with this upgrade, and no regrets.
Just let me know when you're ready to get rid of your broken token box, okay?
That's not great. It looks so good on the shelf. Although I say that, and I did get rid of that wingspan.
Yeah,
it did look good on the shelf.
It did.
And now it looks good on somebody else's shelf.
It's looking good in your bank account.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the game that spurred that whole side tangent, Heroes of Might and Magic.
Oh, yeah.
That was a game that I backed at the $1 level. So I am super stoked that you went ahead and pulled the trigger on it, because if you hadn't, I would have. And can't wait to get that one to the table. It looks really good.
It does. It really does.
Yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun to play. Another announcement, well, not really announcement, but a new game hitting the shelves right now. If you love Dixit and you love Disney, well, guess what? They have merged into one in Dixit Disney Edition.
Oh, really? My
Yeah.
wife loves Dixit.
Not to be confused with Disney Spoons, Nathan.
No, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
Totally different game. Thumbing through and looking at some of the images, because, Dixit uses that very, that abstract art, so that, so that it can play properly. I mean, that's kind of the point, is because it needs a lot of different things to reference on those cards. But if you go in and look at the art for this game, it is actually really fun. And if you enjoy those classic Disney movies, they have put a lot of hard work and effort into making those really fun, abstract Disney cards. And so I think this actually could be a super enjoyable version of Dixit. I don't know if this plays differently enough that you need to necessarily have the game with all of the extra components and stuff. I kind of wish that they had just released this as an art pack, and maybe they eventually will. Right now, it's just the Dixit Disney Edition box, so you have to buy the whole game, as opposed to just one of the art packs. But maybe they'll release this as an art pack in the future, and you can just play the base game with that, which I think would be severely cool.
That's why I hate the news episodes. They're so expensive.
We just mentioning things Nathan wants to buy.
You feeling a little bit, you channeling your internal Greg right now?
I am.
Yeah.
Also, and I'll just throw this one in because they're kind of related. I mean, if you like those artistic style games, we've talked about Canvas before, but I haven't played it for a little while. Canvas, and then they have 2 expansions that all ran through crowdfunding, but none of it was exclusive. So the latest one, Finishing Touches, you can now get that out in the wild as well. So if you didn't back that on crowdfunding, you can just go get a copy of Finishing Touches now.
But the nice thing about the crowdfunding version is that you can hang it on your wall, because they have little mounting hooks, and the image spans across all 3 boxes.
All 3 boxes make a really cool panoramic image.
Yeah.
It is very cool. Also some deluxe components and things like that. But, if you didn't back it, now you can just get the normal version out in the wild.
A game that we have not played a whole lot of that we really need to play this is Sleeping Gods.
Yes.
And now that we have procrastinated to the point there's now a sequel, so our work is
doubled down.
Yes, unfortunately it really has, because I own it now. This is available. You don't have to play Sleeping Gods, the first one, in order to understand the story. I mean, it is a continuation of the story of the first game.
Mm-hmm.
It is a standalone game, and there are some differences. Like the combat's different, a bit of a deck building element to it. It's a completely different game, even though the story is supposedly going to be more seamless in between the games. Maybe a little bit of, I don't know if there's going to be backstory a little bit for those that aren't familiar. I'm not sure. We haven't dived into this yet. We still need to play Sleeping Gods, or rather we need to finish Sleeping Gods, because we've started it. I've started it twice.
Yeah.
With different groups. We just need to start it with a group that's going to be committed to play it. But
that's always the challenge.
It really is. For campaign games, that's always our challenge.
Yeah, it's still sitting on Ticket to Ride Legacy, because I'm trying to get the right group of us to consistently show up.
Yeah.
And find out who's going to be here on a regular basis that we could start and finish that campaign.
Unfortunately, that is one of the biggest hangups why we don't get campaigns played, because of just getting the right players to show up on the right nights.
Yep.
But I'm excited for this one. So
it looks good. We sampled Sleeping Gods at BryceCon a couple of years back. Ryan does a great job.
He really
with
does.
All his games, his stories, his art, all of that melds together so well.
I don't know how he finds time to do all the artwork and all the game design, and how in the world does he do it? I don't get it.
His wife does a lot of it with him too, so
that's
it's
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what's amazing is that he does it all, and he cranks out these really great games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see maybe somebody being able to do all that and create some, mediocre content.
Yeah.
But these are big, epic, sprawling, story-driven, fun-to-play, great components, great art, great everything games. He's not a man. He's a machine.
He's a machine.
But yeah, I can't wait to play Distant Skies. And I loved what we got to play of Sleeping Gods, the original game. This Distant Skies, though, looks like maybe just a little bit more my jam.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Really looking forward to it. So, I mean, throw it on the pile, but bump it to the top because we need to play that soon.
Yeah, we do.
Little ones that I want to kick out, some reprints, some re-releases. El Grande, update a classic game. Medici, one of my all-time favorite 6-player games, has a new fresh look that looks awesome. Should be able to find both of those out in the wild. Worth picking up. Some classic games that are worth a revisit.
A couple quick ones for me as well. French Quarter. This is a game where you're going throughout the French Quarter of New Orleans and trying to visit different sites, and basically you regroup at the end, and the person that was able to see the most things or take in as much of the culture as possible wins the game. You're doing shopping, mysticism, partying, food, all the experiences that you apparently can get from New Orleans. I've never been there, so
I'd love to go because I hear the food is amazing.
that's what I've heard as well.
Let's go.
Never played a game like this, but it sounds kind of cool. The last one I want to talk about as far as new releases is there's a new expansion for Imperium. It's Imperium Horizons, and it will work seamlessly with the other Imperium games. So if this is something that you're into, then it might be one that you want to pick up.
Cool. Have any of you guys ever played any of those Imperium games?
I have not.
I have not.
Okay. I played one of them. I think it was Legends. And I liked it. I played the solo game a couple of times to learn it. We just never found time to get it to the table, and I kept forgetting the rules because it's fairly robust, and so I eventually culled it. And now that I see this one here, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I'd kept that copy and maybe added this one to it. But anyway, I was curious if you guys had experience playing with those. But if you are a Mindbug fan, which I am, they have 2 new expansions, Beyond Evolution and Beyond Eternity, hitting the shelves. So keep your eye out for those. And then one that I have on pre-order that I'm really excited about is Draft and Write Records, which is a draft and write game for 1 to 6 players that supposedly only takes about 45 minutes, which is always something I'm pretty excited about. But in this one, you're drafting your lead singer, the musicians, your like the production and backstage staff, and then you have to arrange them in ways where you can get like lots of fans and money and all that kind of stuff. Manage all of your band's assets. It seems like a really cool theme. If it really does play in 45 minutes, I like these little draft and write games. So I'm excited about that one. So go check that one out as well.
Excellent. We ready to move on to announcements?
Let's do it.
I think so.
One that I'm excited, fresh on the heels of the Dune Part 2, is Dune War for Arrakis, which is that whole battle royale for power control and management of the spice. This is 1 to 4 player games. It is on the heavier side, and it plays it has that 120 minute only. So this game is only going to last 2 hours.
No matter what.
No matter what. 120 minutes. I love it when a game puts that exact time on there. Looks really good. You can have the whole cinematic feel of that. Plus there are giant sandworms on there. Like I said, it looks cool. And that is Dune War for Arrakis.
Very cool. Well, they are turning my favorite video game into what will probably not be my favorite board game. But I'm still super intrigued by this. This was a recent announcement, Mass Effect, the board game. I'm excited. Literally no expectations, and we use that term nerd tax quite a bit. I'll probably play a little nerd tax on this one, but if done right, this could be a really cool game.
I really hope it's done right because I love the video game too, and this could be amazing if they do it well.
Yeah. You can play as either Liara, Tali, Rex, or Garrus, and you customize and upgrade your squad's abilities, equipment, and powers as they gain XP. So kind of a skirmish game. We'll just keep our eye on it. I am super excited, but it also could be a flop. So here's crossing our fingers and hoping.
Nice. Most of us are fans of Project L.
I've heard of that.
And they have a new version coming out. a new
really?
standalone version that is Project L Square One, fast-paced engine building game. It plays 1 to 4 players. It's super easy to learn, similar to Project L, one of those that's easy to learn, hard to master type situations. I'm kind of excited about it. My family loves Project L. This is one that we've introduced a bunch of people to. So to have something that is going to be different but similar as far as the ease of play, easy to pick up, but yet a lot of fun and some definite strategy to it, and having an engine building aspect to it, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, they've only got one image on BGG.
Yeah.
It looks kind of fun, though. It looks like, kind of a new take on that simple little tile and card combo system that they have. That seems pretty fun.
Anyway, so keep your eye open for that one. It looks like it's going to be fun. I'm excited for it.
All right, you ready for this? So there's a new game that I am questioning. I really like the idea of this. I think this is something that my wife's going to really like, but it could fall flat. This is a game called Color Field. Trying to create a masterpiece. You're gathering color palette tiles and trying to use those tiles to match up and form masterpieces. Very abstract, very challenging, I think, to create the right artwork. This could be amazing, and it plays in 20 to 45 minutes, which helps it, which makes it something worth considering, very much on the lighter side, and that is Color Field.
Nice. Well, going the opposite direction on the lighter side, I'm going to talk about a little bit of a heavier game that's been announced, The Sixth Realm. Now, this is a weight of 4.0 out of 5 on BGG. The theme kind of sounds cool. So 1,000 years ago, conflict and strife between the 6 races resulted in years of war and suffering. One day, a strange cursed fog began to roll in from the north. The races fled south and settled in what is today known as the 5 Realms. Their ancient traditions and cities were lost and slowly forgotten by history. In modern day times, a dwarven merchant ship sailing to the Merchant's Cove noticed that the poisonous miasma surrounding the land had been lifted. Word quickly made its way to Queen Tabitha, who organized excursions into the new land. What they found shocked them. This was their ancestral homeland, and the 6 races used to live in peace. Peace and harmony had returned to the 5 realms, and thus the ancient curse had been lifted. It's going to take place over 3 rounds. Each round, the Stone Council is going to meet 7 times, determining which order each of the 6 guilds are going to activate. You're going to have opportunities to win the favor of the Stone Council, gain more permanent support from the guilds, and allowing you to take more powerful actions. It's fantasy themed. It has action points, your chaining mechanism. There's markets, network and route building, set collection, tile placement, track movement. Anyway, there's a lot going on in this game. It's a fairly heavy game. I do like the playtime for a game that's heavier like this. It's only 90 to 180 minutes, so not too terribly long. It is on the longer side.
That's a wide span, 90 to 180.
Yes.
That's double the time.
It is double the time.
Hour and a half to 3 hours.
A weight of 4. That's not
true.
terrible for that heavy of a game, right? The components look cool. The board looks very colorful, very amazing.
I really like the art.
The art's cool, yeah.
Yeah, the art looks great, and the components look like they're really high quality. Printed wooden pieces and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, this looks good.
This is the same publisher that did Merchant's Cove.
Okay.
I love that game, and the artwork's really cool in that game. The gameplay's awesome. Anyway, I'm excited for this one. I'll probably pick it up. I'm hoping that if I do, that it'll get played. That's my one concern, is that playtime, and I think with the right people at the table, it could be a really enjoyable experience.
That's just such a big teach for...
It is. It's a big teach. Well,
that's always the struggle, I think, because you don't want to reteach it over and over again. So it's finding that right group.
Well, what you want to do is you want to find the people who you think are going to be the ones that will play it with you in the long run, and make sure they are there for that first teach and first game.
Yeah.
Get everyone invested at the same time, and then you don't have to reteach it a bunch.
Because we think about it, our first several plays of Maracaibo were 3-4 hours.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yep.
So, but yet it was engaging enough that nobody was bored, and I'm hoping that this falls into that same category.
Definitely. No, that's really cool. One of the things I wanted to make mention of was Awaken Realms did their big Awaken Realms Next event. This is something that they've started to do that I think is really cool. Basically what they do is they present all of their upcoming crowdfunding projects for the year. Introduce them. They've got trailers. It's kind of a company culture kind of thing, and they're branding a little bit and doing that sort of thing. But I really like it. It kind of takes me back to like the way Blizzard Entertainment used to be. Pride in our product, pride in our company culture kind of thing. So I really enjoyed this. Anyway, they made a handful of announcements, and I'll sum them up really quick. Basically, they're going to redo the Castles of Burgundy Deluxe Edition. So they re-release it. They're going to Yep. So they're the ones that did the deluxe edition. They're going to run a second printing. I guess I said that the wrong way, but they're going to run a second printing. They are also deluxifying Puerto Rico.
This looks nice.
Yeah. The few images that we've seen so far looks like they're going to do a really good job with that. So that's very cool.
It looks neat.
They also have new like RPG minis and terrain and that kind of thing that they're releasing. So that's probably not something I'm going to be interested in. However, knowing the high quality stuff that Awakened Realms does, I'm really excited to see what they do with terrain in particular.
Yeah, it perked my interest for sure.
Their models, their minis will be amazing no matter what. But if they do the right stuff with the terrain, it may be something that I'm interested in. And then they made 2 new game announcements, Lands of Evershade and Grim Coven. Lands of Evershade is the one that I'm a little bit more leery of, simply because they're calling it a hybrid RPG board game. A lot of what they're talking about in here is you have like this really rich character building and you're actually using a handbook to create your character. It feels like they've taken an RPG and then sort of board gamified it. And that makes me a little nervous because almost like kind of, hey, pick a lane. Like, are you making an RPG or are you making a board game? Also, they have on BGG, the playtime of this is 90 to 270 minutes.
Oh, huge span.
Like, okay, well, what's going on here? So I've got my eye on it. The art and general production looks amazing because all of Awakened Realms stuff just has that really great aesthetic to it. But I don't know what kind of gameplay this is going to have. The one that really got me excited, though, was Grim Coven, a Victorian era monster hunters. You play as Victorian era monster hunters. It's basically a boss battler, which I have fallen more and more in love with recently, especially after Oathsworn. Art direction and theme on it that looks incredibly cool. I'm excited about all of those announcements.
Speaking of announcements that you are way excited about.
Yes.
A game that's nothing like Power Rangers has been announced.
Are you sure?
I'm sure there's some way Power Rangers is going to get in there, but Renegade Games has picked up and is releasing HeroScape. HeroScape has been a grail game for a lot of people and
for a long time.
Yeah. HeroScape tried to do their pre-order only, we're going to sell stuff, and that went over
Hasbro botched that so bad.
Yeah.
It was awful. I don't know why they used their own crowdfunding platform. If they had run it on Kickstarter, they'd be bajillionaires.
Yeah. Yep, no doubt whatsoever. They sacked it, said, forget it, we're done. And Renegade raised their hand and said, how about we do it?
Ooh, pick me.
They have 3 sets that are coming out. They say that all the sets are going to be interactive with past HeroScape stuff, which is really nice. And I mean, I have a ton of HeroScape terrain. And as I heard this announcement and Andy was like, okay, I'm in. And Doug's kind of like, yeah, we'll think about it. And I'm like, Doug, look at some of this stuff before the end of the night. All 3 of us were all in on
yes, we are
HeroScape.
Which is ridiculous, but also awesome.
It is, because I know Caden's going to love this at your house.
Yep.
Both Brigham and Seth are going to love this at your house.
For sure, yeah, they're going to love it.
Table presence alone is outstanding. And then to be able to rekindle all that old HeroScape stuff and to be able to add even more to get this mega monolith HeroScape presence on a table is going to be great. And that's something I want to do at some point real soon after we get some of this. So Renegade winning until they say, if you've played Power Rangers HeroScape, this is just like that.
I really hope it says that.
I wanted to say that so bad. Well, the only other announcement that I wanted to cover really quick was this Life in Reterra. I'm pretty sure that's like Re-Earth, Reterra. I'm only bringing this one up because it's kind of Eric Lang's next big project. And he's one of those designers whose work I follow with kind of a casual interest. This looks like kind of an interesting game, but it doesn't really look like my kind of game.
That's because it's missing the Eric Lang miniatures.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm just looking at like the tile placement and that kind of stuff. And I feel like I have enough of this type of game in my life, so I'm not sure. But it is one I have my eye on. So I'll report later if I get a chance to play it. It's only got a weight of 2.0, plays in about 35 minutes. Interesting art style. It's not really my art style, but a lot of people really like it. And it kind of revolves around placing tiles or polyominoes out and rebuilding society in sort of a happy post-apocalyptic setting.
It reminds me a little bit of Tiny Towns, but it looks more involved than Tiny Towns is, and it's going to be a little bit different for sure. But it does look interesting. As soon as you mention Eric Ling, I'm thinking big, epic.
Like, where's the minis?
Yeah, where's the minis? Where's the beef?
There's a new pirate game that's going to be coming out. Deck builder, worker placement pirate game. And I really hope it's going to be good. So in this, they're combining deck building, worker placement, and there's a little bit of just subtle area control mechanics in it. That's not my favorite mechanic, but the fact that it's just a subtle area control, be a little okay with it. Expand your decks, send your workers out on missions using the pirate fast ships, and the whole point of the game is to gain fame and support of the flying gang as you're trying to take over the fleet of Blackbeard in order to be the one that rules Nassau. A deck building pirate game with worker placement, and it just sounds cool. So I'm kind of excited for it. I hope it's good. There's not a lot of information about it yet, but more to come, hopefully.
If it comes with these components that are in the pictures,
Yes.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
It's
components look
gonna
awesome.
be pretty dang cool. But those are probably just staged photos, I'm gonna say at this point. Is this something that's gonna go to
Kickstarter?
Yeah, that's what
I would
figured.
imagine so, yeah.
So maybe you could get all those cool components then, because I mean, just looking at those barrels
Yeah.
They do look really good.
and the little pirate meeples, you can't go wrong with pirate meeples.
Can't go wrong with pirate.
Actually, it looks like they've really kind of nailed the whole pirate aesthetic too.
They really have,
The
at least
art
in the
and
pictures.
everything. Yeah, that actually does look pretty good. I'm kind of intrigued by that. Also, you say deck building worker placement,
Yes.
and my mind immediately goes to like Endless Winter and Dune Imperium and
Yeah.
Lost Ruins of Arnak, and some of these games that have come out in recent years that have really hit for me anyway. Like they're games that I really like. This could be another really amazing game.
Yeah, it will be interesting. What is the heavier part of the game? Like a lot of those that you just mentioned are more heavy on the side of the worker placement, more so than deck building.
Exactly.
It would be
Yeah,
really
that's
cool
true.
if they could flip that script and make it so that the deck building has a little bit more involvement in the game. I do love a good deck builder, so if you can make that a little bit heavier part of the game, along with the worker placement, I'm hoping that's what it is. Not that I don't mind those games. I like most of those that you listed off. That's been my biggest beef with a lot of those is just, man, I want more deck building. I want more deck building rather than just this light deck building version.
I want more of a Clank feel.
For sure, exactly.
Yeah. Did you mention the name of it?
I thought I did, but it is Blackbeard's Lost Fleet.
It looks really cool.
Maybe I was holding off. I was pulling a Nathan.
Yeah, you were trying to say
burying the lead.
Yep. But it looks cool. I approve. I'll allow you to back that one.
Thanks, Nate. Speaking of backing, I have one more I want to talk about. It looks flat out amazing, and that is the story of Mini. I watched a video on this. It's got its own Kickstarter page. I don't know when it launches, but this game looks amazing. It's open world expansion. There are skill trees. There are like
Sorry, open world expansion or
exploration.
Oh,
excuse me.
okay.
Open world exploration.
I wanted to make sure I understood.
No,
'cause
thank
this
you,
looks
yeah.
really good. I'm looking at images of it and it's awesome.
There are tons of combinations of skill combinations. So it's not only is it like an open world exploration, but it's also open to your skills when you're progressing your heroes. Just so many combinations as you're going through the game and gaining these skills. You can really make it to where your character is very unique. And it is really intriguing to me. The components look amazing. The artwork looks amazing. From the little information we have on it, I am so excited for this, and I will be backing it for sure.
Well, it has one rating of 10, so
Yeah.
It's a winner.
I saw that.
it's a winner.
So it always makes me a little bit nervous when I see big sprawling games like this this is the first game this Haunted Mill Games has done.
Right.
But man, what I'm seeing here just looks phenomenal. Over 400,000 words of adventure text and more than 200 unique enemies.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's incredible. So I wonder how they'll do that with minis and everything. That's really cool. Maybe just different cards that represent what the minis do or something like that. But that is genuinely very, very cool.
It's also the designing team's first debut game. So a little bit of a hesitation there too. Still, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it really does.
Awesome. Well, this episode is getting a little bit long, but we have to talk about just a few crowdfunding things really quick. So what have we got over on, let's start with GameFound. What do we got over on GameFound? So the first one I'll mention really quick is Ascension Legends. I kind of like the Ascension deck building system. I know that different people have kind of mixed feelings on it, but I really like it. And this Legends expansion looks like a pretty cool addition to the Ascension game. All new standalone expansion designed for both newcomers and longtime fans of the series. So if you like Ascension and you want more, go check that out.
This other one is Under the Sun, which has the 1 to 6 player count. I always look forward to good games that have a higher player count, but it does have that 60 to 180 minutes, so I'm sure that extra player count is going to lengthen out that game. I like it when a big game that's not the case. I mean, it's going to be expected in some games, right? But if it's a game that maybe should have been capped at 4, I prefer it to be capped at 4. But this looks really good. Under the Sun, it's a little bit of a heavier weight, semi-cooperative exploration. So you're exploring the post-apocalyptic world where life is at the mercy of the sun. So maybe one of our futures. Players are going to embark on an adventure, assume the role of a survivor, and join forces to reach a common goal. Players beware, everyone might not be having the same goal.
There's less than a week left of this one on Kickstarter, or on GameFound. So if this is something that does sound cool to you, jump over there, look at it, because there's not a lot of time left.
I like the presence. I like the tiles. Looks pretty cool. Under the Sun.
And another one that's going to be closing very, very soon, like tomorrow, is Roth. It's a chip theory game. This is one that has territory building elements to it, action drafting. There is a fair bit of area, majority, and influence in this game as well, but it is a cooperative game, which is...
It's a head-to-head. It
has a cooperative element to it.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think the base gameplay though is competitive.
Yeah, it has a cooperative element to it. Obviously dice rolling. Anyway, it's a chip theory game. If you're a fan of chip theory games, this is one I'm not going to back because of the heavy majority influence. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but
yeah, I've really gone back and forth on this one, and I think I feel exactly the same. This is also Manny Tremblay, who's one of my favorite artists. As far as I know, one of his first kind of forays into actually designing a game. I'm not sure, exactly what kind of relationship he's had with the games he's worked on before. As far as designing goes, he does tons of artwork. I'm kind of excited to see him bust out into the design arena a little bit more, and I want this one to be successful, but I'm just not sure it's for me.
Yeah.
And then if we step on over to Kickstarter for a minute, we've got one that I know Nathan and I were oohing and awing about a while ago, and that was Wormwood.
That looks so good.
It looks like an absolutely amazing game. I hope the gameplay is fun because the art is incredible.
Dying Light. Have you guys looked at the pictures for Dying Light? So that's live right now. A zombie game where it's cooperative. You're trying to survive and defend the area by zombies. The board looks really cool. You have all these 3D buildings and some cool zombie miniatures. There's not a ton of information about it. Just the components alone look really, really cool. I'm not a huge fan. This is coming from a guy who loves Zombicide, but I'm not a huge zombie fan per se.
Yeah, same.
As far as zombie games go, this looks really cool.
Yeah, it's the parkour part of it that really intrigues me.
Yeah.
I have almost backed this one like a dozen times. And I just can't quite bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
It does look really good. Yeah, and this one is by Glass Cannon Unplugged, which they are kind of known for bringing some of those like the video game IPs and stuff into video games, like they did Frostpunk and a few others. And they do a really good job. So I think that the production and gameplay on this is going to be really good. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm probably going to go back it, but I just don't know. I just don't know because it's a lot of money.
Yeah, there's so many good games that are kickstarting right soon or right now. Been hard to pick and choose.
Yeah,
you can't back them all.
And I may just need to stop backing all of some of these games that come out, because this is one of those where you could go drop hundreds of dollars on getting everything deluxeified and all that, or you could just spend a reasonable amount of money and get the base game and just enjoy that. Which I don't know if I can do it. I just don't know if I can do that. But maybe I need to try. So, yeah, I'll have to give this one a little bit more of a look.
Yeah, fully deluxified, 594 euros.
Egads, that's a lot of nuts.
Yeah.
About $647 US.
They have one that's for 290 euros that's a little more reasonable, that still has everything, but just cuts out some of the extra.
Yeah, that's pretty pricey.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to do it.
Dang it, I shouldn't have said anything.
You talked me out of it.
Just the price tag alone.
All right. Were there any other games over on Kickstarter that you guys wanted to talk about?
So, Inventors of the South Tigris, this has closed, just barely, but it's one that I'm sure will open up soon to late pledge. Those who may have missed the Kickstarter, it is the third installment of the South Tigris by Sim Phillips. Scholars of the South Tigris was awesome. I loved it. The Wayfarers of the South Tigris was good. I definitely like Scholars better, and I'm really excited to try out and get my copy of Inventors. If that's something you're interested in, keep your eye open for late pledge opening, or pledge manager to open.
So one that I didn't have on my radar until 10 seconds ago is this Etherstone.
I was just looking at that one.
You're playing as your faction leaders. You're uniting your forces to prevent extinction. The artwork on all these cards is outstanding.
This is definitely one where the art draws you right in.
Oh yeah, and I was looking over this list, and none of these were really pulling me in, and then I got to this one. The artwork just is exciting, and I just hope that the gameplay works out. It's 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes. That's a great realm for a game like this. Looks like it's going to be more on the lighter side. You're doing drafting, deck building, all sorts of goodness going on in this. And this looks pretty good, but that's Etherstone.
I'll just throw this out there too. So I can't really pronounce his name, Gonzalo Aguirre Bisi, but he is the designer for this Etherstone, and he has done things like Tang Garden, Darwin's Journey, Spirits of the Forest, Iwari. He has some really good games under his belt. So this one does look pretty intriguing. Etherstone. That could be really, really interesting.
All right. Well, we have gone on for long enough. There's a lot of goodness that's there.
And a lot we didn't talk about.
A lot that's still on the cutting room floor.
Well, it's funny because we get to the end of the episode like this, and we know it's going long, and yet all of us are still glued to our monitors. We're thumbing through all these Kickstarter projects going, I don't know, this looks pretty good too. I don't know. we could hoe and hum and probably talk for another hour if we really wanted to, but there's some exciting stuff coming to crowdfunding, so that's really cool.
And some exciting stuff. This is coming to your regular game store shelf.
For sure. We live in such a golden age right now of board games. It's awesome. And on that note, until next time,
we'll see you busting out that credit card and searching out a new game for your shelf of shame. Or better yet, you should get it out and play it because it looks awesome. Etherstone.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/Meeple Nation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_Nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.